Hey guys, welcome back. Orbomb here, bringing you another one of our live deck profiles. Now today, people, today we are going over Gardevoir. This is one of my favorite decks. I don't know, something about its simplicity, but like also big brain plays of playing green always just brings me joy. So before we get into the video, don't forget to drop a like. We're gonna continue this little tag team debate. We have last video we did Mewtwo versus that's actually last video. Yeah, it was. Mewtwo versus Mew, and it's been a pretty good 50-50 split. So let's do Gardevoir versus Sylveon. Which one do you guys prefer the most? My fingers are red. Ignore that, I was doing things. So, yeah, remember, by answering the comment question today, leaving a like, you have a chance to win not only a booster box from our sponsors at Guardian Gaming's, one entry for all of our post-rotation content that we have uploaded from now until the release of the set will get you an entry for a booster box, but also for a NAIC deck box and a couple codes. It's pretty good stuff. Thanks to our lovely sponsors at Guardian Gaming. If you want to get codes, that's the best way to do it. Let's see, there's anything else I gotta talk about? Oh yeah, I am re-recording this video. If you guys saw the original list, it played two cards that I'm not playing in this deck list. A Chandler and a Pokemon Center Lady. Pokemon Center Lady is obvious because, I'm just unzipping my binder just in case I have any problems. Pokemon Center Lady is because the card was not released. Obviously, I recorded those games before we got the official set list. So it was off the speculated set list. And, I don't have that card. And then Chandler. So Chandler is the confusing one, right? Chandler is a card that has an effect that removes the effects of Pokemon, the effects of Pokemon's attacks and stuff on you and your opponent. But like the translation I read was on Bulbapedia, which is probably the wrong translation because at least at the time of recording. Or the time of recording the game, it said remove the effects of attacks on on you and your opponent's Pokemon, your Pokemon and your opponent's Pokemon, something like that. So it was like the whole field, similar to Ranger. So the translations are on Pokebeach and Limitless say only your own Pokemon. So it wouldn't work against things like Tag Purge. So I took out the Chandler from this list too. And I put in cards that I think would be really good in this deck. So we're going to go ahead and go over the deck list now. And if you guys hear a bunch of background noise, there are people working on the floors in our house. My sister's on her phone right in front of me. She is a live audience, I guess. So we're going to just try to make this as quick as possible, even though I like to ramble all the time. 3 Guardian, Gardevoir, Sylveon, Tag Team GX. Fairy Song attaches 2 energy from the deck to your disc to your bench in any way you like. Great for accelerating energies for your attacks like Kaleidostorm. Man, the glare is really weird here. Which does 150 damage. Nice 2-hit KO number. For the most part, you can 2-hit KO everything. 2-hit KOing is kind of weird in this format, which is why I'm still skeptical about how good Guardian is going to be because of all the mixed herbs and the great potions, and then there's super scoop ups and stuff like that. So it's still a good attack because you can keep yourself alive using all those methods while hitting a consistent 150 and moving energies any way you like. And then Magical Miracle GX, there's 200 damage and your opponent shuffles their entire hand into their deck, so they have a 0-card hand to work with. They're literally relying on their top deck. So unless your opponent's the luckiest person alive, aka Kate, shout out to you, Kate. They usually will not draw out of it unless they've been playing around and things like that. So it's a pretty good GX attack. And it hits 200, of course, which can put things in range. The Pokemon line is pretty simple. Just a 2-2 line of Mismagius. I want to play a 3-3. Right now, I'm playing a 2-2. 3-3 is just to avoid prizing the pieces so I can use at least 2 Mismagius. In a perfect world, right? Excuse me. You go first. You use 2 Mismagius turn 1, and then you reset stamp your opponent down to 4. And the whole name of the game of this deck is to just disrupt your opponent's hand while you're attacking and healing. That's the idea, at least. So I'm playing like 2 reset stamps in this deck as well as a GX attack, which is pretty easy to set up. So that's going to be the direction I'm going with when I'm playing this deck and when I'm building this deck. So yeah, let's go ahead and go over the trainers now. There's not as many supporters in this deck because we've actually lost a lot of great supporters. But for the time being, I am playing 4 greens, standard stuff, lets you get your 2 combo pieces of any 2 cards, any 2 trainer cards, and then 2 bills to kind of go hand in hand with the greens. Bills, I might play 3 of in the future. One supporter I'm not playing in this deck right now, which could be pretty good, would probably be Faba. Just Faba as a 1-of to deal with Shedinja decks. Because we really don't have a way to deal with Shedinja decks right now. So that's something to consider playing. Actually, I might really want to play the Faba in here for the future. So yeah, that's something to consider playing. Right now, I'm kind of going off the early hand disruption and then the custom catchers to pull up the Zebstrikas while I GX them down to a 0-card hand, and that sometimes sticks really nicely. So we'll see what happens in the future. But I definitely want to try to put in a Faba in here as well, because I just thought about that. Not gonna lie, which is easy to fill. There's a few cards in here that we can remove. There's 2 Lucamines, just so we can chain the Lucamines to put the supporters back into our hand. Similar to like if we did play the Faba, it would work really well in this deck because we have Lucamine to put the Fabas back into our hand. Lucamine the Shedinjas until they have no more Shedinjas to work with, and then we just kind of win the game from there. There's 2 Lieutenant Surges because we are gonna go behind. That's the reason why we play the Miss Magus, is so we can go behind early. We can get a bajillion combo pieces into our hands thanks to like double green or Diantha plays and stuff like that, which we do play a 1-of Diantha. You only play a 1-of because, you know, only one Gardevoir Sylveon is going to be knocked out before you lose the game after the second one gets knocked out. So one Diantha in there to get 2. Diantha is kind of acting like a pseudo Lysander for me because I usually only play Diantha to get 2 custom catchers back into my hand so I can custom catch her again. So like in this deck, you can essentially use 3 custom catchers. Diantha obviously has a lot more versatility than that because you can grab any other trainer cards, but for most of my games I've been playing with this deck, it's use custom catcher, take a knockout one time, your opponent knocks out your Guardian, and then you use Diantha to get the custom catchers back so you have access to another set of custom catchers to help you win the game. Because a lot of this format is all about like retreating and avoiding being knocked out and stuff like that. Not every deck can fit in mixed herbs and great potions and super scoop ups and stuff like that. So being able to chase down your opponent while you're busy tanking hits and disrupting your opponent is really, really, really nice. And one card that I love in this deck is a single Koga's Trap. Koga's Trap both confuses and poisons, so it's pretty useful for just like kind of stalling a little bit. You don't want your opponent to attack you a lot, so being able to confuse them is nice. But more importantly, this is your way to knock out Dedenne, because you can't really knock out Dedenne in this deck. You have to get double. You have to use double custom catcher. Then you only hit them for 150. You can hit them for 200 with a GX attack, which is something you're going to do at some point. But like, you can hit them for 160 if you put a 1 single poison damage counter on them using this Koga. And since the Dennes are all over the format right now, that feels like a really fun and interesting tech I definitely like in this deck. As far as supporters I want to add in this deck, I definitely want to play a 3rd Bill and a Faba for sure. I definitely like those options the most. There's some other disruption supporters. You have Mars. That's really about it. What does Morty do? No, Morty doesn't work in this deck unless they knock out exactly the Mischievous. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, there's not many supporters you can work with. 1 Bill and one Faba would be really nice in this deck. Depending on, right now I'm not playing the Faba. That's definitely a know what the format is and play against it kind of card. So, and there's not a lot of tools that can really bother you as a Guardian player. In fact, your tools are the ones that are bothering your opponent a lot of the time. So there's not really a reason to play Faba outside of the Shedinja. Like spell tags aren't really an issue. Things like that. So yeah, that's all I gotta say there. All right, let's move on to the trainers, or the item cards, I should say, which we have a lot of. We got 4 Pokegears. I'm gonna move these over here actually. There's a lot less glare in this room, which is good. 4 custom catchers, pull up your Pokemon with Pokegears to find your greens as early as possible. 4 mixed herbs because mixed herbs are good. And the stats conditions are kind of annoying in this format, so I do like mixed herb. I still think Great Potion is better than mixed herb just because it heals more and you don't have to have a combo of cards. So that means you could usually find a single Great Potion plus something else to get you outside of 2 KO range. But I really like mixed herb because stats condition could definitely be annoying in this deck. We are playing 2 switches as well though. So if anything, mixed herbs are one of those cards that I'm like playing around with. But in my opinion, mixed herbs are definitely a 4 or nothing kind of card. One card that I'm not playing in here that I really want to try out is Super Scoop Up. Super Scoop Up doesn't always land heads though, and you guys know my luck is not the best. So flipping is not my forte. But Super Scoop Up, because Guardian attacks and then moves the energies around, you could easily move the energies off your Guardian and then Super Scoop Up the following turn. Definitely something worth trying. I kind of want to try that over mixed herb at some point, but for the time being, I'm playing 4 mixed herbs. We'll see how it works in the future. 2 Dusk Stones to evolve your Mischievous, 2 Cherish Balls to get your Guardians, and 2 Mysterious Treasures to get your Mischievous. So your ball search there. And then the rest of our trainers, tag switch. This is another reason why I want to try out Super Scoop Up, because the 2 tag switches you can even if you don't move your energy thanks to Guardian and you get like surprise hit, you can always use tag switch to move your energies from a Guardian to another Guardian, and then Super Scoop Up, then manually attach the one you put back into your hand. Also, it's good for like, you know, you use Fairy Song to move 2 energies on the bench, then you use Attack Switch to move those energies to your active, so you don't have to play a physical switch card, which we do play 2 physical switch cards as well. There's not really a lot of space here. Let me see if I can move these all over slightly so you guys can see everything. Yeah, well, it's kind of messy, but it's fine. You guys have already seen the cards anyways. All right, so 2 switches, 2 Great Potion, right now. And like I said earlier, if we were to play the Super Scoop Ups, I'd probably play 4 Great Potions, 2 Super Scoop Up. The only downside about Great Potion is that it heals your GX, but it has to be active. So you can't like, which is fine, because when you're damaged, you're going to be the active Guardian anyways. So for the most part, it should be okay, because you're going to play the Great Potion, then you're going to play the Switch. But, you know, things would happen, you know what I mean? As far as the rest of the cards go, 2 reset stamps, like I mentioned earlier, 2 reset stamps to disrupt your opponent's hand. Or ideally, you want to do it once early game, maybe at some point late game if your GX attack doesn't stick. And if your GX attack does stick, or you think your GX attack will stick, then you can do it earlier in the game, maybe after they've done some searching or something like that. And then 1 energy spinner. It's just a searchable way with both green and bills to get an energy into your hand. You really want to get Fairy Song pop in turn 1, so I feel like the energy switch is kind of mandatory. Like I said, it's searchable, so it's not bad for sure in this deck. There's not many cards you can drop in this deck either. Like I mentioned earlier, like all these cards are kind of important for making the strategy work in Guardian. So even though I want to add things like Bills and Scoop Ups and 2 more Great Potions and Faba, like it's really hard to figure out what you want to cut. As far as the tools in Stadium go, 2 Fairy Charms, 2 Lightning Fairy Charms, 1 Ultra Beast Fairy Charm. You can mix and match with these numbers. One Fairy Charm I really wanted to try playing is the Psychic Fairy Charm, but we're also playing 2 Power Plant and 1 Wonder Lab, and I figured I'd rather, I don't know, like the Psychic Charm is good because if they bump your Power Plant, you still have access to Psychic Charm if you're playing against Mewtwo Box. I just don't think Mewtwo Box is going to be like the best deck in format, you know what I mean? But it is definitely an annoying deck to play against as a Guardian player. And then we're also playing 8 Psychic Energies, kind of cutting low on the Psychic Energies. It's probably not a good idea to play this little. I would like to play 9, but once again, like we have so many cards that we have to play. Like we can't just play Max Potion anymore, you know what I mean? We have to play like all these different healing cards, and we have to switch around. Luckily, there's not as much gusting in format, but like if you're playing against Reshizard, for instance, Reshizard can no longer OHKO you outside of their GX attack, which is fine because like once they GX attack you early, or like, you know, you put yourself down to where your opponent has 1 prize left, you just reset stamp them, you can GX them, things like that. There's a lot of easy ways to disrupt your opponent. The problem is Reshizard hits you for a bunch all the time. So you always have to make sure you're outside of their 2-hit KO range. And then they play their own healing sometimes, or they play their own custom catchers. And it could be problematic for sure. So that's why I'm not playing, that's why I'm playing so many healing cards. Koga's Trap helps a lot in that matchup too. So Diantha, of course, gets some healing cards back into your hand. Only playing 8 energies is risky though. I really want to play maybe an energy recycle system or an energy recycler that can put those energies back into your deck if they ever do get knocked out. But this deck is all about keeping your energies on the board by playing really smart with how you move your energies. But you want to make sure you have 6 at least on the board whenever you use your GX attack, right? So it's kind of 50-50 up there. This is definitely a work in progress of a deck though. Like I really want to make this deck work. I'm just trying to figure out the best ways to do it right now. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like I said, the only like as far as the trainers go, maybe you just cut out the Great Potions altogether to play in more of these like Fabas or things like that. Maybe you cut out the mixed herbs altogether and then you play Super Scoop Ups because of those land. Then it's a better healing card than every other healing card in format. This deck is simply just missing Max Potion. Once you get Max Potion back, I feel like this deck is going to do really, really well. If we ever get Max Potion back in Standard, of course. That's going to be the deck, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Definitely give me your ideas of what is... Oh, there's the background noise. Definitely give me your ideas of like what you think would be worth taking out. But yeah, they're still working on the floors right now. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video. Please, any ideas? Because I want to have a discussion about this deck. It is still one of my favorite decks to play. And I'm going to end the video here. Goodbye.